Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into something really fascinating. Why building wealth actually isn't about being some kind of math genius. It's really all about mastering the soft skills of behavior and psychology. You know, we're constantly taught to think about money like it's physics, right? Like it has these rigid rules, formulas, and strict laws. But the reality is it's so much more like psychology. It's totally driven by human emotion and nuance.
Just think about this wild contrast for a second. On one hand, you have Ronald Reed, a rural gas station attendant and janitor, who literally massively outperformed Richard Fuscone, a top-tier, Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive. And he did it simply because of patience versus greed. Reed quietly saved and invested in blue-chip stocks for decades, just letting his money compound in the background. Meanwhile, Fuscone borrowed heavily to expand an 18,000-square-foot mansion right before the 2008 financial crisis and eventually lost everything to foreclosure. I mean, in what other field could someone with absolutely zero formal training so completely eclipse someone with the best education in the world?
So, the big takeaway here is actually pretty profound. Financial success isn't a hard science at all. It's a completely behavioral field. And here's a little secret for you. No one is actually crazy. Sure, we all do wild things with our money sometimes, but we're all just operating based on our own unique life experiences. Someone who grew up in poverty is going to view risk entirely differently than a wealthy investment banker. We just all have completely different lenses.
All right, let's jump right into Pillar 1, the invisible forces.
We absolutely love to attribute success entirely to hard work, don't we? But the truth is, every outcome in life is guided by massive external forces. Take Bill Gates, for example. Is he brilliant and hardworking? Absolutely. But he also experienced 1 in a million luck by attending Lakeside. In 1968, that was one of the very few high schools in the entire world that actually had a computer. But then consider his best friend, Kent Evans. Kent was just as smart, just as driven, and shared all of Bill's ambition. But Kent experienced 1 in a million risk, tragically dying in a high school mountaineering accident before they could ever build Microsoft together. Luck and risk, they are literally two sides of the exact same coin.
So, to navigate those crazy invisible forces, we've got to recognize when we simply have enough. Think of ultra-wealthy folks like Raja Gupta or Bernie Madoff. These guys had hundreds of millions of dollars, but they still resorted to insider trading and fraud. Why on earth would they do that? Because they let their goalposts keep moving. If your expectations rise faster than your actual results, you are always going to feel poor, no matter how much you make. Social comparison is a game with literally no ceiling. Honestly, the only way to win is just to not play.
Moving right along to Pillar 2, the mechanics of survival.
You know, getting wealthy is one thing, but staying wealthy, that is an entirely different skill. Let's look at Warren Buffett's wealth. We spend so much time analyzing how he picks companies, but his absolute secret weapon is actually just time. That is the magic of compounding. Think of it like the Earth's ice ages. A tiny bit of leftover snow from a cool summer reflects a little more sunlight, which cools the Earth a bit more, bringing more snow, until eventually the entire planet is covered in miles of solid ice. You don't need tremendous force, you just need really consistent growth. Get this, it is completely staggering. Out of Buffett's $84.5 billion net worth, a massive portion, $81.5 billion, was accumulated after his 65th birthday. That just perfectly shows the explosive, totally logic-defying power of compounding. If Buffett had started investing in his 30s and retired at 60 to play golf, you would have never even heard his name.
Getting wealthy means putting yourself out there, taking risks, and being super optimistic. But staying wealthy, it requires the exact opposite. It requires this really specific combination of frugality, a healthy dose of paranoia, and leaving yourself a huge margin of error. You pretty much have to assume the future is going to be filled with unpredictable disasters like recessions, pandemics, and market panics. You need what we call a barbell personality, incredibly optimistic that things will grow over the long haul, but highly paranoid that short-term shocks could completely wipe you out.
And we really have to respect tail events. You can actually be wrong half the time and still win the whole game. Since 1980, 40% of the companies in the Russell 3000 index effectively lost all of their value. Gone. Yet the index overall grew more than 73-fold. How is that possible? Because just 7% of those companies were massive, out-of-this-world outperformers that drove virtually all the stock market returns. Whether you're an investor, an entrepreneur, or an artist, normal everyday failures are perfectly fine, because the long tail of success makes up for all the duds.
So when you're building out your own survival strategy, Aim to be mostly reasonable instead of coldly rational. Academic finance loves to tell you to be mathematically perfect. But hey, you aren't a spreadsheet. You're an emotional human being. Taking on maximum leverage might look completely optimal on paper, but it totally ignores human panic. You need a strategy that maximizes how well you sleep at night. Because at the end of the day, the most important variable in any financial plan is whether you can actually stick to it when times inevitably get tough.
And that brings us perfectly to Pillar 3, wealth is what you hide.
There's this super fascinating contradiction about how we perceive money and status on a daily basis. It's called the man in the car paradox, and it teaches us something profound. Think about it. When you see someone driving a $200,000 Ferrari down the street, you don't look at the driver and think, wow, that person is so cool. No, you look at the car and think, wow, if I had that car, people would think I was cool. People buy all these expensive things to earn respect, but onlookers only ever use those things as a benchmark to imagine themselves looking cool. Real talk, humility and kindness will bring you far more respect than horsepower ever will.
We really need to draw a clear line here between being rich and being wealthy. Being rich is just current, visible income. If you see someone driving a $100,000 car, all you actually know for a fact about their finances is that they either have $100,000 less in their bank account or they're $100,000 deeper in debt. Rich is loud, but wealth is purposefully hidden.
Wealth is the nice cars you didn't buy. It's the shiny diamonds left in the store, the first-class upgrades you declined. Wealth is essentially the gap between your ego and your income. It is the unspent financial assets that actually give you future options. And because wealth is hidden away in investment accounts, it's incredibly hard to find good role models for it. We see all the flashy stuff people buy, but we can't see their bank statements.
Which leads us to our final crucial point, the true purpose of wealth. All of this brings us to the ultimate question. If buying fancy luxury goods doesn't bring us true happiness or respect, what is the greatest intrinsic value that money can actually offer? What's the real point of all this saving and compounding? Well, here it is. The absolute ultimate value of money is giving you complete control over your time. It's the autonomy to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with who you want, for as long as you want. Psychological studies across the board consistently show that having a strong sense of controlling your own life is the absolute most dependable predictor of positive well-being, way more than the size of your house or the prestige of your job title.
Ultimately, saving money without some specific spending goal in mind buys you the ultimate luxury, flexibility. We live in this highly connected, fiercely competitive, globalized world right now where raw intelligence just isn't a unique advantage anymore. But flexibility absolutely is. A solid cushion of savings lets you walk away from a toxic boss, wait out the perfect career opportunity, or just enjoy some unstructured, stress-free time with your family. These options are literally the most valuable currencies in our modern world. So, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today. Take a good look at your own habits. Are you simply extending your peacock feathers to impress total strangers at a stoplight, or are you quietly building the unbreakable wealth necessary to finally take control of your life? Think hard about that gap between your ego and your income, and ask yourself right now, exactly what kind of freedom do you want to buy?